Right, ladies and gents, so this is Russell Street. As you can see just from here, it looks like a pretty nondescript cul-de-sac. If I turn the camera around, you can see that there doesn't appear to be anything down this road. And again, like I said, litter left outside, not looking brilliant. And we've got the Woodwind and Reed shop here. And again, this is what I mean by I hardly ever noticed that this road was here. Now, one of the first things that strikes me, if you look at a lot of the housing here, is actually how relatively modern it is compared to the houses over on Norwich Street, which is where we were earlier. Now, the reason for this is primarily because a lot of the housing that was here before was not in great condition. Now, we know this from Jack's diaries, and it was something I wasn't particularly aware of until I had actually started reading them, because he describes the house that he was living in a road nearby here on Saxon Street as one that had been condemned by the council. And he was in dispute with the council at the time over who should pay for which bits in terms of moving him out and demolishing it. Now, you get to this end of the road, and this is the most interesting building, and I was really pleased to discover this one. This is the old National School. And it's a lovely example. I can turn my camera around so you can get a slightly better view. And this, I think, was the school that that Jack's children went to. So what we have on this side is the boys' entrance, and over there you've got the girls' entrance. Now, if I switch the camera around again, what we have here is St Paul's Junior School. And again, you can see the school itself is quite a modern structure, because the road here used to go all the way down to the end, but now no longer does. And so what we have here, and actually you can get another nice view of it if I turn the camera around again, and I think that is one of the former school buildings there. I'm going to go around and have a look at that, because I can't remember if that's a separate institute linked to St Mary's or whether it's another one, but you can see what I mean in terms of, well, actually you can't because the lighting's not great, but you can see what I mean by a lot of the housing that's now here being much more modern, of a much higher standard than the homes that were there previously. But again, let's not forget that the homes that were there previously, and this is why I caution now the idea of trying to permanently preserve a city in whatever you preserve them in, I guess, of trying to preserve absolutely everything, because the standards of some of the homes, yeah, they really needed knocking down. There was just no chance of renovating them at all. Just one thing to mention here, it says goods entrance here, see, no parking because it's a good entrance, is you get a sense of the size of the site from the back here, because also what you had next to the Methodist church was a very nice pub called the House of Commons pub, which also got demolished alongside the demolition of the Methodist church. Now, before I go down what I think is going to be Coronation Street, I'm just going to go and pop into the churchyard of St Paul's, because that, as far as I'm aware, is the only example of a war memorial to two former local residents who lived around here, both of whom were air raid wardens, and both who were some of the first victims in Cambridge of the bombings by the Luftwaffe during the Second World War. Now, as I mentioned earlier, while the raids on Cambridge were nowhere near the scale of what was happening in London or Coventry or Liverpool or Portsmouth, like I said, over 30 people did die in air raids during the conflict. And we're going to go now to St Paul's Church. Obviously, historically linked to the primary school. And I think this is it. So let's switch the camera around. Now, the names of the two air raid wardens on there that you're looking for, Petica Robertson is one of them, and the other one, let's see if I can spot her name. Lucy Gent. So, Petica and Lucy were local residents here who were air raid wardens. And I looked up their file in the local archives, in the county archives here last week. And it was... And it was quite sad and quite sobering, actually, because the entry in their diary, the entry in the official logbook of air raids on Cambridge stated that both Petica and Lucy died in the course of their duties as air raid wardens. So that meant that they were running around this part of town desperately trying to get people into the air raid shelters. And while they were doing that, some bombers up there dropped some bombs on them and killed them. And in a way, I think it's sad that the city seems to have forgotten them, other than that small plaque on St Paul's Church. I just think it would be nice if we knew more about them, who they were, what they looked like, what their lives were like, and to have something more prominent to say, you know, there were a lot of very, very brave women and men who did some really heroic things, you know, during some of our darkest days. And, you know, for Lucy and Petica, they paid the ultimate price.